background on all of them, and it'll be great to keep. And remember, 20th anniversary of the United States Air Show. Also, is to tour the airport area, especially in the area of the static display aircraft. No smoking. No smoking. We want to make sure that we do not do that. Of airspeed, and combine that with a headwind of about 8 knots, we're going to make that about, let's say 25 knots, or about 28 miles per hour going across the ground. Going to be very, very slow. Here comes the Helios. Let's jubilate.
Out the other end to reposition. Again, like I said, notice he's just a touch higher on every successive pass. Repositioning for his next maneuver, again keeping this big, heavy airplane in nice and close to the crowd line. Another item Bill has reported to us on, this aircraft is equipped with BF Goodrich storm scopes, courtesy of the good folks at BF Goodrich Flight Systems, and he says that there is no thunderstorm activity to speak of within its 200 nautical mile range. So the weather's going to be good and hold here for a while, and probably all day, but what a gorgeous start this is to Dayton's 20th anniversary air show. Only a T6 can make. Back comes the stick. Up ever so easy he goes into the classic, beautiful Barnstormer's loop, right on show center. Again, this engine is a Pratt & Whitney R1340 9-cylinder radial, 1,344 cubic inches, swinging a 10-foot Hampton standard prop, and that's the combination that makes the sound of only a Texan. The high-energy low-altitude turn. You'll see the jets perform it this afternoon. Well, they had to do this in the World War II and Korean era as well. So this is the airplane they learned it in, turning very tight, very fast, down low. The Texan does a nice job of that. The lights you see flashing on this aircraft, of course, are not standard U.S. Air Force issue. Part of another thing Bill does called the Starfire Night Sky Show. Performed annually at many, many locations across the U.S. and Canada. If you've never seen it, you need to get there, way too low to the ground. However, he does have a trick up his sleeve. A state-of-the-art angle of attack system in this aircraft tells him right where he's at on the edge of stall, enabling him to safely do this beautiful high alpha pass. He'll clean the airplane up now and return for yet another aerobatic sequence. The gear comes up, and around he comes. Something I think is very interesting, the wheels and brakes you just saw dangling out there in the breeze, BF Goodrich, right up the road here in Troy, Ohio. Those wonderful BF Goodrich wheels and brakes. Know what that is? Those beautiful F-16s of the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds. That's right, BF Goodrich supplies the brakes for them too from nearby Troy, as well as the brakes on the space shuttle. A lot of aviation heritage right here in Dayton area. Across show center he goes with a nice gentle roll. You heard the big T6 cough. Well, that's not unusual. The Pratt & Whitney engine in this aircraft is equipped with an inverted oil system, so he's not hurting the engine when he's upside down. But every now and then when he's upside down, gravity wins the fuel battle, and it will cough and sputter like you heard it do then. Usually it's not a problem, you just turn it right side up and it comes right back to life. Approaching show center again, increasing speed. Across show center approaching 200 miles an hour. To 1. There's 2. There's 3. And there you have it, a 4-point roll, World War II Texan style. Doing the slow roll the hard way. And he makes it look way too easy. Not an easy maneuver aerodynamically clean, but you put the landing gear out, What a gorgeous day for an air show, folks. I'll tell you, this air show has a lineup the likes of which you've never seen. I do 20-some of these a year, and I am totally impressed with the lineup here. You won't be disappointed today. Right now, here comes my friend, Mr. Bill Leff. Get the cameras ready. There it is, the salute to the crowd, the photo pass. Out the end of the show box he goes. The next time he grows wheels, he's going to meet it. He'll be coming in for a landing. And like I told you...
On the ground, then we'll have several acts, and then Rob will narrate the remaining portion of the first stage of their show. And the American flag is down. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll all please rise and remove your caps, our national anthem. Rob Ryder, take it away. Coming down with the Stars and Stripes, your United States Army Parachute Team. This is the Gold Demonstration Team. Their home base is Fort Bragg, North Carolina. There are two demo teams, the Gold and the Black Team, along with the competition team, the holder of some 120 world and national records, as Rob now slowly brings it down right on the target. Nelson Lynn pulling ground today, a dead center. There goes the opening firing shot to let us know down. He thought maybe somebody shot at him there. And now, to tell you about the teaser, the Red Baron Squadron, the Silver Baron himself, from somewhere in Minnesota near the Arctic Circle, Jerry Van Kempen.
Thank you, Billy Mortal. Lordy, ladies and gentlemen, if you will note to your right, in right echelon formation, we are going to dedicate this role to the 20th anniversary show and to all you great fans that come out here every year for 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, we call this the Dayton Roll. Get ready to boogie. Get your cameras out. They're going to roll toward you. The smoke is coming on. The lead guy says, let's entertain them. Ladies and gentlemen, the Red Baron Stearman Squadron says, thank you for inviting us to your great 20th anniversary air show. Looking over the top, maintaining about 1.5 positive G's, they say, look at us, we're having nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the way it was back when the biplane was king, when your granddaddy was standing there looking up into the sky. He pulled up and over the top, now half of the Cuban, he rolled out on the 45. That's what it's all about. That's what barnstorming was. That's what the biplane does. Look what I can do. Again, back up the stick. I'll make you this promise. At 5 minutes after 2 or right about then, we're coming back. We're going to turn on with a complete routine that's absolutely going to send you wild flying. Get your cameras out, get your videos out.
7.5 minutes right over Huffman Prairie, where the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is today. There's the Wright B Flyer. Now, as we see the Wright B Flyer taxi toward us, we're going to get a chance to see this aircraft just a little bit more closely than we were originally going to see him. And you will see, as it points toward us, two men at the controls. Lieutenant Commander John Warlick, who is U.S. Navy retired, and Lieutenant Colonel Don Stroud, retired from the United States Air Force. John Warlick has more than 3,000 flight hours recorded, and he works currently for Ilano Corporation. And he's chairman of the board of the Wright B Flyer Incorporated, a nonprofit organization. Don Stroud is the husband of air show staffer Sally Stroud. He John flew B-47s in the war. Now, that's a whole lot different from flying this Wright B Flyer. As it accelerates down Taxio Romeo, will accelerate to 45 miles an hour. They will lift off. There it is, 45-mile-an-hour takeoff. It cruises at 60 miles an hour. We're going to see some of the fastest airplanes in the world, and this is just about the slowest.
I thought he was going to fly subsonic.
And
subsonic.
Subsonic in the basement. Now watch, we have seen many airplanes make some really tight turns, but this replica doesn't turn very tightly. They handle it in a very, very gentle and gingerly manner as it sets up for its pass down the show line. With Lieutenant Commander John Warlick and Colonel Don Stroud at the controls, the Wright B Flyer. This airplane, though it resembles the original Wright B Flyer, was built to conform to modern airworthiness standards. And rather than having piano wire and a lot of wood, oh, look at it, drops a bomb! Yes! Bomber training in a Arrivederci latrino. It made the bomb run and blew up that latrine, ladies and gentlemen. Accuracy in bombing. What a way to go, guys.
I just put a fresh roll of toilet paper in there this morning, too.
Well, guess what? You're going to have to go back, get another one out of one of these porta potties.
Is that our personal one?
Well, it's the one I used earlier.
The executive washroom, as they call it. Notice that there's two poles out there. You can see the guy in the red suit. But you're going to see some of the wildest gyrations in a big biplane that you've ever seen in your life. As Jimmy does the loop on the takeoff, he comes out in stage 7. You can see how far back he sets in that airplane, 500 horses, as he rotates the aircraft straight up. Three-quarter roll up, full 360 degrees, then the hammerhead stall. The airplane is very, very tight turning airplane, a diving stop. He stops it right on the dime, pulls it right out at the last minute right off the ground. Does a nice little crop duster turnaround. He's looking at that ribbon. Now, he has about a 4-foot curb feeler on the top of that rudder. What he's going to do is he's going to pick that ribbon up that's about 10 feet off the ground. And then he'll do his whole aerobatic routine while that ribbon is trailing out behind him. Sometimes his gyrations get so violent that the string and the ribbon sort of double loops back around that curb feeler, as we like to call it, or runway feeler. So watch now as he gets a little more altitude. He does a snap row out there in the end zone, dives it back down. He'll roll the big Waco, the Mystery Ship. The wild Waco, he'll roll it upside down. There he goes. Keep your cameras on this. He'll drop it right down. He'll make that correction just about when he can hear that curb feeler tickling the deck. He'll pick it right up, and there he got it. Right there. There's the ribbon. It'll stay on there now the whole length of the rest of his routine. Now, he'll get a little bit of altitude. And he'll do it a push whipperdill turnaround. Start climbing altitude. As he pulls it up to the vertical line, he comes across the top and the back half of the horizontal or the Cuban 8. You notice how close he flies it right to. He'll be getting that altitude momentarily. And this, of course, will show you some of the lump shocks, the tail slides, and the very deadly flat inverted spin. The reverse 1/2 Cuban 8.
We have an emergency announcement. James Bonner. James Bonner, please call Sandra Anderson or Carol Western. James Bonner, please call Sandra Anderson or Carol Western. Thank you.
We call that the clover loop. Yeah, Bill Leff is going on down the flight line. He's way down there now to the west end down there by the chalets down there. Put those hands together. You'll love to hear them. Now, Jimmy Franklin will start climbing to altitude to start his first series of high altitude flip-flops, as we like to say. This man, of course, has been flown in many movies, Ponching Team and Ranch Howard, among others in the movie. You can see the ribbon and the string trailing out behind him. He'll get into that higher altitude. He'll flip the smoke on a few times when he's ready to start his next maneuvers. He'll flip it on his back, do a one-turn spin on the way down, back into a tail slide and a lump shock. Then you'll go into the very deadly flat inverted spin and pull out very low to the ground. It'll scare all the gophers, even the wiggle worms in the ground down there. He's going to get that altitude. And of course, Jimmy is being sponsored by Sinclair Community College for sponsoring Jim and his wing walker later on in the show, Eddie the Grip Green. So our special thanks to Sinclair Community College for their support, I should say. Jimmy's getting that altitude, 500 horsepower, Pratt Whitney. You from Ohio, you know what Pratt Whitneys are. Now, he's getting close to the altitude that he wants. Shortly, I'll see several puffs of smoke, which is indication to me that he's ready to start the maneuvers. There's a puff. Probably be about one more turn. There's the second puff. Getting your attention. Get your eyes glued on that airplane, the Waco. You ain't seen nothing yet. Rob Ryder, we better get the medics out here for Rob because he about had cardiac arrest yesterday when he watched him.
Sure as heck got my attention, ladies and gentlemen. Get your Kodak film ready. Kodak, the official film of the United States Air and Trade Show.
All right, there's the 4 puffs of smoke. Now watch it here. Momentarily, he'll flip it on its back. There goes the flip. Then he comes down. There's 1 turn. There's 2 turns. There's 3 turns. And stops it right on the dime. Now watch very carefully as he builds up that airspeed once again. He'll go up. Kicks that rudder. The Lumpshabach. Nose for tail. Tail for nose. Where he goes, nobody knows. Now watch it carefully as he comes all the way around. Watch how that airplane now pulls it up one more time. He rolls it on his back. And there you go. The flat inverted spin. Very deadly flat inverted spin. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5. There's 6. He comes back at that power. He's looking at that ground. He's watching the altimeter. He's just about ready to stop it out, and he comes right out of it right there. Lets it dive down to build up the airspeed, and he's right on the deck once again. How about that? Jimmy Franklin in the Wild Waco. Oh, yeah, you have seen it here. Let me tell you. And dives it down once again. Shakes the Johnny Cajun. Oh, yeah. And the outside 1.5 snap roll. He's been copying Sean Tucker there a little bit, although Sean's been copying a lot of his maneuvers also. Jimmy, now, these guys around here are all getting cardiac arrest. I'm used to watching this.
Jimmy Franklin was raised on a ranch near Lovington, New Mexico. He was capable of flying an airplane at a tender age of 8 years old, and he soloed it.
Going up around one more time, about 1/4 of a turn, 1/2 a turn. Now lets it come back 1 length, 2 lengths, 3 lengths, 4 lengths. It swaps nose for tail at a diving. 1. Half turn snap on the way down. Jimmy can stop that airplane on a dime. He knows exactly where he's at. He knows exactly what that airplane can do and just exactly how low he can go.
He'll stop it on a dime and give you 9 cents change.
You got it.
Oh.
Now as Jimmy goes up, you'll notice now, Rob, remember I told you it might loop around that tail a little bit, and it did. After all those gyrations, as we like to say, the ribbon has double looped around the feeler up there. You know, he's got
the cockpit. Jimmy Franklin sits. The cockpit is way back.
And a tuck under brake, 270 brake, and he pulls it to the vertical line once again. This aircraft hasn't appeared in many movies. It's used as a photo aircraft. They were transferring a guy from the front of this airplane into a C-123 and didn't go A lot of skydiving in the movie, a lot of chasing, and Jimmy did a lot of the stunt flying in it, so go see it.
The C-1.
Well, this is just a stop sign in the sky, the 8-sided. Well, 1/2 Cuban 8, going to do a 4. Now he's going to come back to stage center once again. Go to number 4 up at the top. Down the backside. There's number 6, number 7. And he bottoms it out at number 8. The 8-sided loop. 8 distinct times. He changed direction. We call that the stop sign in the sky. High overhead are members of the United States Army Parachute Team, the Golden Knights. They'll be doing their full show on this first pass, and then later on they'll be doing a mass jump. Jimmy Franklin, Reynosa, New Mexico, doing his solo aerobatic routine. Now as he goes out around the back course, doing a rolling 180. He may do it 360. This is where the mind, the hands, and the feet all have to be coordinated. It's kind of like taking your right hand and rubbing your forehead, your left hand and rubbing your chest, taking your right leg to rubbing the back of your left leg and jumping up and down all at the same time.
You can't say that in an air show.
Why not?
Sounds awful to me.
What does?
Moving your body parts in such a weird way.
That's what it takes to fly that airplane in a rolling 180-degree turn. Giving you an idea. The mind, the hands, and the feet all coordinated. On the 4-point sectional roll. Jimmy Franklin now goes into the end zone, pulls it through the backside once again. You know, we ought to do, Rob, is get you strapped inside that airplane. So you can really find out what it gets to be gyrated around.
You know, I can do a little bit of that, but boy, without those outside maneuvers, they really get to me.
When you have a bowl of chili and everybody says, okay, each beat says, hold on, we're going for it. You know, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that golf commercial. The guy, the golf ball saying he gets hit by the golf ball.
Mr. Bill!
Yeah, Mr. Bill! That's what you call a crop dusting turn, 90-degree turn. This is the flat 8. If you'd stand it on in, it would look like the figure 8. The flat 8, figure 8, Jimmy Franklin in a tight 90-degree crop dusting turn. This guy can fly, or can this guy fly?
This is some of the most amazing flying, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, that you will ever see.
Beautiful. Target landing. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, direct your attention to the ladies and gentlemen, watch the boy round parachute. And there's the open parachute. This is a perfectly good parachute should she decide to land it. However, our highly trained parachutists will reach up and release one side, causing the canopy to streamer. The canopy accelerates upward 100 miles per hour towards the earth. There is no way she could survive a landing under this canopy. Therefore, she must release it completely, return to free fall, and deploy her second main parachute. And once again, science and technology has triumphed over fear and superstition.
What's it for science and technology?
Each golden night taxes. And she's in there and has the down button pressed. She goes by the 5th floor, past the 4th floor, the 3rd floor, right by the 2nd floor, and into the lobby. Everybody out for another dead center landing. And if someone has a better vantage point than I do, I will narrate what it should be occurring. Our jumpers will be flying their bodies to within inches from another boy wedge formation. At 4,000 feet, the jumpers, there they are, accelerating to over 118 miles per hour. Watch for the high-flying black and gold of your United States Army. Many of you may be wondering, are the clouds in fact wet? Sure they are. As our jumpers were accelerating through the edge of that small cloud, their goggles did in fact mist up. If we had a video camera on one of our gentlemen's helmets, the lens on that would have also been misted up. However, to our highly trained parachutists, for they will spiral those canopies upward and give each other that valuable vertical separation so that each may have his own individual approach into the target area. Our first jumper, using a very conventional approach, sliding his canopy left and flying the beautiful Ohio State flag. One of the best accuracy shooters on the team. Let's see if he can live up to this reputation. As he wings his canopy around, goes up to full flight and slows it down. That beautiful flag trailing behind him. All concentration now shifted to the small black dot in the center of the target. Slows his canopy down, almost stopping it directly overhead, dead center. Our next jumper using a slightly more radical approach, swinging his canopy in, a little to the left of the wind line, shutting it down for yet another safe target landing. Watch the minor hand corrections and movements of these jumpers as they fly this canopy in. The tail of that canopy is almost like a set of flaps on a wing. Watch as they pull down on left and on right to steer this canopy into the target area. And just like the landing of an aircraft, as they approach the ground, they'll come to full flaps down, slowing the canopy for the safest, softest possible landing. As the winds pick up, you can see our jumpers almost hovering directly above the target. And yet another beautiful target landing. This next jumper, not just jumping a flag, but jumping a way of life for the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights dare you to keep kids off drugs. As the jumpers remove their equipment, it is my privilege to introduce them in order of their appearance. Performing the difficult duty. And now, ladies and gentlemen, get your cameras ready for our very own C-31 Friendship Fokker is inbound for a high-speed, low-altitude pass. It is piloted today by pilot in charge from Worthington, Minnesota, Chief Warrant Officer 4 John Welda, from Cleveland, Ohio, Major Scott Vandenbroek, and keeping her flying from Bend, Oregon is Sergeant Russell Hazelton. And now, ladies and gentlemen, in keeping with a long-standing Golden Knight tradition, the baton, which was flown in freefall, will be presented to a very distinguished member of today's audience.
It's Midwest Air Show debut, FedEx Whisper Pass.
The first 727 was produced in 1964. During the production, a total of 1,823 were built. Of those... FedEx flies their 727s throughout North America, Europe, and as far south as Buenos Aires, Argentina. In addition to 727s, FedEx...
Thank you, Rob, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, let me welcome you to the United States Air and Trade Show. I'm Captain R.J. Smith from the Air Combat Command's 1st Fighter Wing, located at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. And it will be my pleasure to describe for you today's flight demonstration, performed by America's premier air superiority fighter, the McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle, an aircraft whose combat role is to take control of the sky and to keep it. It's a mission our Eagles and their pilots have accomplished with dash and dedication during Operation Desert Storm. The Eagle first joined the Air Force as an operational fighter in January of 1976. A later version, the F-15E, came on board in 1989. This newer airplane, a dual-role fighter, was designed for precision all-weather ground attack as well as air-to-air combat. While the original F-15 is now more than 18 years old, a series of improvements over the years has enabled it to keep its talent sharp. It certainly hasn't lost its ability to meet and beat any potential adversary now flying, and today's demonstration will show you just what I mean. At the controls this afternoon is Captain Jeff Kendall, a veteran Air Combat Command fighter pilot with more than 1,800 hours in the Eagle, and that flight time includes 48 combat missions during Desert Storm. At this time, Captain Kendall is performing a final check of his aircraft before takeoff. As he runs up his engines, the noise you will hear will be the sound of 2 Pratt & Whitney engines that together provide more than 50,000 pounds of thrust. That is more than twice the horsepower of the entire starting lineup at the Indianapolis 500. And since the Eagle weighs in at just a bit over 38,000 pounds, it can accelerate while climbing straight up. The F-15 was designed and built for air combat, and it can carry everything it needs to do that job. In addition to an internal 20mm cannon, it can fire 8 radar-guided and heat-seeking air-to-air missiles. The dual-role variant has also been modified to carry a complete range of precision-guided munitions. Both the F-15 here today and the E model are equipped for in-flight refueling, giving the Eagle the global reach it needs to rapidly deploy anywhere in the world. In fact, during the initial stages of Operation Desert Shield, Air Combat Command's F-15s were the very first combat aircraft to arrive in the Middle East, departing within 20 hours of their initial notification and flying more than 7,000 miles non-stop. That is the equivalent of flying from New York to LA, back to New York, and back to LA once again without landing. What's more impressive about this plane and the people who fly and maintain it is that our deployed Eagles were in the air flying combat air patrols within 24 hours of arriving in the Persian Gulf. During that 42-day war, our Eagles shot down 31 world-class fighters without getting a scratch. And now it's time to begin today's flight demonstration. Unfortunately, the weather will preclude us from doing our high show for you today, but we hope you will enjoy this low show. Captain Kendall will start by showing you just how fast the F-15 can get off the ground and climb. He'll lift off in just 1,200 feet and immediately pull into a steep vertical climb. Captain Kendall is repositioning his aircraft for a high-speed pass. He'll be inbound at just 500 feet, traveling at more than 500 miles per hour. Captain Kendall is once again repositioning his aircraft. As he approaches show center, he'll demonstrate the F-15's crisp handling characteristics by performing the exacting 4-point roll. Watch the F-15 perform high-speed, high-G maneuvers that test the mettle of both pilot and plane. But slow-speed controllability is just as important to those who fly. To demonstrate this low-speed handling, Captain Kendall is now decelerating for the low and slow pass in the landing configuration. While the F-15 is a strong performer at more than twice the speed of sound, watch how precisely it maneuvers as it's rolled from side to side in the low-speed pass. From slow flight, Captain Kendall will raise his landing gear and flaps and accomplish a reposition maneuver to set up for the level Cuban 8. cubic 8. It requires a hard turn in one direction, followed by another hard turn in the opposite direction, and inscribes a figure 8 over the airfield. Captain Kendall is now beginning a series of turns that will inscribe a square over the field. At each turn, he is executing a high G turn. But it's more than just speed and maneuverability that make this airplane an exceptional fighting machine. When it was designed, it was the first fighter since the Korean War built to meet the needs of those who would fly it in air-to-air combat. The cockpit is positioned to give the pilot exceptional visibility from all corners, and it's built around a radar that helps extend the eyes of the pilot well beyond visual range, helping him to see small, high-speed targets down to treetop level. Captain Kendall is now approaching the field for his final maneuver, a tactical pitch-up prior to landing. He'll pass by at just 500 feet, then perform a rolling pitch-up as he reverses his direction and prepares to land. Captain Kendall is now decelerating through 300 miles per hour and lowering his landing gear and flaps. He'll hold approximately 150 miles per hour on final and touch down at 130. Both the F-15 and the F-15E have played a vital role in the defense of this nation during Desert Storm. They represent your Air Force's dedication to global reach and global power. But as good as the Eagle is, time and technology are beginning to challenge its dominance. It first flew back in 1972. The aircraft to replace it, when the time comes, is already off the drawing board and in the air. It's the new Advanced Tactical Fighter, the F-22, an aircraft that will build on the lessons we have learned with the Eagle and combine the latest in stealth technology with supersonic cruise engines and revolutionary new electronics, ensuring the United States' ability to challenge any potential adversary well into the 21st century. And now on behalf of our ACC Commander, General John Michael Lowe, our thanks for being with us today. We hope you've enjoyed this brief look at your F-15 Eagle. Both Captain Kendall and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have. Once again, our thanks and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, Captain R.J. Smith. Congratulations for a great demo. Good to see you all again. There's Jeff Kendall taxiing back that F-15 as the speed brakes extended and now retracting into the fuselage as we continue the 20th anniversary of the United States Air and Trade Show. And Bill Bordelot, this is a great deal.
All right, thank you, Rob Ryder, as the 15 comes in. The lovely lady from Oxnard, California, she is Joanne Osterud, and she is an airline pilot flying 767s for Untied Airlines, better known as United, I guess. And she holds a couple of world records. We're going to talk about that as she takes off in a one-of-a-kind airplane called the Ultimate 300S. Sponsored here locally by Bank One. And of course, Bank One, whatever it takes, they'll do it. They are the official bank here of the Air and Trade Show. Tell us a little bit about some of her national spots. She takes the airplane, slowly rolls the airplane. The full length of the show line, 360 degrees on that horizontal plane. That is an extremely difficult maneuver because you have to maintain directional control, airspeed, and altitude. Now watch very carefully. If you got your cameras, we hope that they're loaded with Kodak film. And Joanne, sponsored here locally by Bank One, is going to take the aircraft. Now you see the two sets of poles out there. There's one set of ribbons are higher than the other. Rob, she's got to come in, roll upside down, have the vertical fin on that aircraft about 5 feet off the grass, and she's going to cut the lower ribbon and leave the upper one as it is until coming back and cutting it later.
Oh my gosh, here she is from the right. From Oxnard, California, Joanne Osterud on the deck, flipping it over into the inverted position. Here she goes, positioning her airplane.
Looking good, looking good. She's got to make a little correction there. She's going right under, and she got it. She got the first one, extremely different. Now remember, she's got a little bit of a crosswind out there at about a 45-degree angle. So upside down, she's got to crab a little left rudder in there to go right.
Right.
Last ribbon.
Those polos out there are getting the thrill of her life. In case she rolls it upside down for the other direction, she can go a little higher this time. And she cut it with the wing, and there you go, Joanne Osterud. And the double ribbon cut, and later on we're going to have a triple ribbon cut with Andy Tuck. Her last maneuver is known as the Yukon. So watch very carefully as she makes this unusual approach to Dayton International Airport. It's called the Yukon. You know, she flies a lot of shows in Canada also. She's from the Seattle area originally. She flies up at Yellowknife, White Horse, Vanderhoof, Red Deer, you know, all those.
Sure.
They all have it. Port St. Francis, Port St. Joe. Watch carefully. Wait a minute. I thought she was going to land. No. She said, I'm going to make a loop. She makes a loop right off the end of the runway. And a snap roll on top of the loop. Down the back side. Makes a little wind correction there. You can see the wind pushing her out. And she is going to pull the power back. Not your normal approach to Dayton International. Joanne Osterud, Oxnard, California.
How about that?
Sponsored, of course, by the wonderful people here at Bank One. Music by Mannheim Steamroller, courtesy of Dodson Lines, Inc. and American Gramophone. The Grassy Meadows Set Upgrade Kits. Thank these wonderful people for her.
We have a special announcement. Rusty Cheeseman, please report back to your pavilion table.
Be the craft pavilion.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it will be 1 minute until a very, very special thing happens here, till the King, the E-Team, and the Showgirl make their historic jump. Ladies and gentlemen, the King, the E-Team, and the Showgirl are approaching the Dayton International Airport. All eyes to the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, high overhead, the Cessna 182 of the Paul McCowan skydiving team, but it's a little special today. Keep your eyes open for the smoke just before we see the first jumper leave the aircraft. Here they come. Never before have the King, the E-Team, and the Showgirl made a parachute jump for the Dayton, Ohio area. Paul McCowan, Jim Fangmeyer, Jay Augustine, and Joy Lee, dressed in their Elvis outfits, are headed for the target. Watch as Paul McCowan, smoke still on, guides his Ram Air parachute toward the target. They're going to land on the show line. They can hear you. Give them a big wave and say, hello, Elvis. Look at that suit. When these folks do night jumps, These suits glow brightly with over 200 electric lights on each suit. Here comes Paul McCowan, former Green Beret, and he works at Airborne Express. A beautiful on-target landing for Paul McCowan, getting that smoke shut off. Next, on the way down, in the darker canopy is Jay Augustine of Cincinnati, Ohio, 4,000 parachute jumps. He lines up for the target as Jim Fangmeyer and Joy Lee remain high above, waiting for their turn to enter the target area. There's Jim Fangmeyer doing that canopy work, spiraling down, getting into position. Here comes Jay Augustine. These Ram Air parachutes can fly forward at speeds of about 25 miles an hour. They are extremely maneuverable, the same kind of chutes used by the Golden Knights and also the G.I. Joe parachute team. It is the favorite sport parachute around. It's like having 7 or 9 tube socks that make actually a wing. Here comes Jay Augustine over the target. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and right on the target, there's Jay Augustine. Now lined up Jim Fangmeyer of Cincinnati, Ohio. Notice the helmet. He's too dressed as Elvis, but he's got a camera on top of his helmet. He took a picture on the way down, right down there on his feet, on-target landing for Jim Fangmeyer. Now look carefully. Here, the E-team is down, ladies and gentlemen. On the count of 3, let's all... The price is right, now the target is right. Here comes Joy Lee trailing that beautiful red, white, and blue streamer. Dropping it in quickly now over the target. Watch her work those toggles to slower descent. Right there, on target, a bullseye landing for Joy Lee, ladies and gentlemen. How about a big round of applause for Paul McCowan, Joy Lee, Jay Augustine, and Jim Fangmeyer, the King and the E-team. The Tornado runs it up, releases brakes. You'll hear the afterburner kick in now, accelerating down the runway to 160 miles an hour. The German Tornado.
On board is Major Hill and Captain Hinterberger. They're from the Bomber Wing 34 to Fighter Bomber Wing 34 in Meiningen, Bavaria. The Tornado is a heavy fighter bomber comparable to the F-111 of our Air Force. It's an all-weather, low-level, capable terrain-following radar down to 200 feet. Built in Germany, by Germany, Great Britain, Italy. Panavia is the company. Flown by the German Air Force, the German Navy, the Royal Air Force, the Italian Air Force, the Saudi Arabian Air Force. It has a top speed of 130 knots. It can go, or I should say, a cruise slow speed of 130, the top speed of 500 knots indicated airspeed. It can pull anywhere from -1 G to +7 Gs. Its maximum takeoff weight is 28,500 kilograms. Converted, Rod?
Divided by 2.2, you got it. No problem. That's 2.5 dozen an hour is what that is.
Now we're going to have the ordnance EOD guys out there from the Army, and we're going to make some strafing runs on here as the Tornado comes in with the wings swept. Get that swept position. The wings in the full sweep position of 67 degrees. This high-speed pass blowing up. All of the houses out there and grandma's smoke out there. The wings are laid back like that a little bit. It looks like a Tomcat. Now the wings are coming back out to the 25-degree position. There's the perfect smoke ring, Rob.
Yeah, we got a good one today. Very good one today. Just now dissipating.
He'll reposition the aircraft once again. Now as he comes back in from our right, this time. Watch as he comes back in from our right in the max performance turn. wings fully extended right now, having repositioned. The Tornado, of course, was used quite extensively in the Desert Storm. Nice, slow roll. Completing a slow roll. He'll go back in for what we call a pop-up attack. Pulls up to about a 30 degree. Executing that 1/2. Q&A for the pop-up. He lays on his back, looks at his target, then rolls the aircraft as he comes diving down. As he dives down towards the target. Goes out of sight. And we'd like to thank, I think it's the 305th Army Engineer EOD boys. 67 degrees to 25 degrees. Sweep maneuver. It looks a little like a Tomcat on that. But watch how these wings are swept back as they start to come out now. 67 degrees. All the way out to 27 degrees. They're full extension. Tornado now will reposition itself for landing on runway 24. Representing the German Air Force, ladies and gentlemen, Major Buell.
As they approach approximately 100 feet above the ground, they will slip into the wind to further slow their descent. Keeping their feet and knees together, they would prepare to land. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will look to your right, you will see 6 C-141 Starlifters. The C-141 Starlifters are from the 437th Air Wing from Charleston Air Force Base, South Carolina. The door, waiting from the command from the jump master. After making a good parachute landing fall, the paratrooper will remain on the ground and activate one canopy release assembly to prevent being drugged by an inflated parachute. He will then remove his parachute harness, recover his equipment, and move over to the assembly area. Ladies and gentlemen, today you've witnessed an airborne assault protected by the 82nd Airborne Division, America's Guard of Honor.
Let's hear it for the Airborne, ladies and gentlemen, the 82nd. Flare ship. Watch it carefully as it comes in a high-speed pass. Then you'll make a turn and get your cameras trained on this aircraft. Here comes the turn.
Oh, that's cool.
See the special radar dome nose on this aircraft. There come the flares off the side of the aircraft. See how rapidly they are firing, probably a couple of hundred of them.
And those flares are hot enough to actually distract a heat-seeking missile fired by an enemy aircraft at, say, one of our F-16s. As a matter of fact, the F-16s that we will see fly by and the F-15s when they're outfitted for combat have flared to the mission of your United States Air Force and your United States Army and Navy and Coast Guard and Marines. Ladies and gentlemen, representing our Joint Task Force assault today, the C-130, the A-10s, and the F-16s. Get a good picture, folks.
That's your 23rd Flying Tiger. You notice there's FT on the tail. That stands for the Flying Tiger. You know, they discontinued the Flying Tiger emblem on the nose of aircraft for a while. Challenger, the gentleman from Salinas, California. Pulls up for a maneuver we call the Son of Edwin. The vertical upshot that develops into a torque roll. You've seen Joanne, you've seen Jimmy Franklin in biplanes. Now you're going to see Sean D. Tucker, one of the greatest stars on the circuit, along with Jimmy and Joanne. This gentleman came on like wildfires. He's still going around, still going around, still going around. Finally, the aircraft pays off, and he makes the recovery, and on comes the smoke bomb. You have never seen an airplane flown like this. This aircraft was originally a Pitts S2S. Highly modified, special wings, special bracing, the smoke system, the 1-800-collect. Special goes straight up and rolls to the vertical line, and you'll lay it out inverted. As he comes across the top, watch how he'll lay it out into the inverted position and then set himself up for 3 to 4 inside snap rolls. Down in the 45-degree line, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. And he got 4 snap rolls on the 45-degree down line. Coming right off the deck once again, scaring the heck out of all the gophers. He goes up for what we call the spirally tower. 2.5 outside snap rolls. Then he'll push it over the top. And a full roll on the down line. 45-degree line, that full roll all the way down. And another roll to the half. A roll and a half, and right down under the deck. Rolls it back upright once again. This time, the wooey loop. We love to call this the wooey loop, the inside-outside loop with a lump shamrock on the top. Right about now, he kicks it all the way around. Then he gets it into positive position and pushes to the outside. The inside-outside loop. Now into the end zone, he'll pull a hammerhead stall with a 1 1/4 roll on the way up, on a 3/4 roll on the way down. Hanging it on the prop after that 1 1/4 roll up. Now watch as he does a 3/4 roll. And there it is, and now he's right back on stage. And the next one will be a double hammerhead, or the yard wheel. 1/4 roll up, an outside shoulder roll, and a double hammerhead coming down. Now watch it very, very carefully. As he pulls it straight up, he rolls up. Then he does another roll on the way up. Now he hangs it on the prop, the normal hammerhead right there. There's the hammerhead. Now watch as the airplane goes all the way around 360 degrees. There's the second hammerhead. for the art wheel. And a diving snap roll on the way down. Now, as he goes back in, this time he'll go into the end zone for a maneuver we call the flip-flop. As he pulls up, he twists the airplane all the way around. There is the flip-top, then caps it off one more time, and he'll come back in stage center for the outside 8-sided loop. Yes, I said outside 8-sided loop. Stop sign in the sky. There's one, there's two all the way around. Then he stops it right there. Then he rolls it around once again. Now here he comes. There's one. Then there's two. There's three. He gets it up to number 4. Pushes it across the top. Number 5. Number 6. Now number 7. And he's on down at number 8. The outside and inside loop. Into the end zone for the end of that one. The Oringo Tango.
He's got a name for everything else. Why don't they call that outside loop, the inside loop, the Tucker Chucker?
We could do that. He'd probably use it. He's got everything coming up. Now.
We got you, Sean.
Red Baron flight, hold that for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think I gotta say, welcome to the greatest air show on earth. You know, I travel all over the United States of America, and I've never, ever seen such a...
Builds up that airspeed. Now pulls up to get a little altitude, rolls it on his back, then goes the other way around. Now watch 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5. There's 6. There's 7. There's 8. There's 9. And he stops it right there. How about that one, ladies and gentlemen? The centrifuge by Sean D. Tucker in the 1-800-COLLECT. A Super Challenger aircraft from Salinas, California, the salad bowl of the USA. He's also a helicopter spray pilot. As he goes up to the vertical line, he'll do a hammerhead. Hangs it on the prop, then falls it right, lets it falls off, and he does a nice roll on the way down. The next maneuver will be the full torque roll as he comes in stage center. He'll pull up to the vertical line. He rotates all the way around continuously as he bleeds off the airspeed. The aircraft is rolling 360 degrees continually around that vertical upline. Now, it'll start to back off. Now it starts to come back. 1 length, 2 lengths, 3 lengths, 4 lengths, 5 lengths, 6 lengths. Finally, it swaps in and pays off, and there you have the championship torque roll and a double snap roll on the way down. Airplane, huh? The next maneuver is called the Eric Tucker, and it's named after his son Eric, who's about 13 years old. And it's a great little air show announcer himself. We've done a number of shows with Eric. She goes in the end zone, Eric Tucker. The smoke bombs on the wingtip, and the white smoke coming out the port as well. There is the Eric Tucker. Now, as he comes back in, this time he's going to get set up for his next maneuver. Snap rolls to the right and to the left as he dives down once again. I want you to notice those flagpoles out there. There are 3 of them. And the reverse snap roll from right to left and left to right. Then he stops it once again and goes back one more time. A nice slow roll and a quick half roll. Then a full roll. Then all the way around and another roll. It's still got enough energy to pull it out.
It is really uncomfortable, though. Not the stuff leading up to it, just going around upside down in a negative T-turn flat.
Airplanes aren't supposed to fly like that. Now, I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous, but he does it.
I did it with Billy Bruns, who's one of the air traffic controllers up at Oshkosh. From Madison.
All right, he now comes out of that. Now you'll get out into the end zone for his final maneuver of the day. Very unusual one. You know the Harrier aircraft that we've had here in the past, the airplane that stops in midair, flies slowly, lands vertically, and takes off vertically. He's configured this airplane in such a condition that it'll be able to do a Harrier pass. Watch now as he points the nose up on a 45-degree angle and turns the airplane 45 degrees, and at about 45 miles an hour will fly the aircraft down the length of the runway. From the right, Sean D. Tucker from Salinas, California, in the Harrier pass. Now, airplanes are not supposed to do this in a conventional mode, or conventional airplane, in this unusual mode.
You do this with a WHIO traffic plane, and it'll fall out of the sky. But Sean Tucker.
The 100-800 collect.
And I will tell you that I am wearing my Randolph sunglasses, and I'm really happy with them.
He's just hanging it on the prop there. Just rolling along.
He's beside himself.
We could parallel parking in the sky is right, somebody said. You could almost drop a paratrooper on him and then he could land right on the airplane. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Harrier Pass. And there you go. How about that one, ladies and gentlemen? Only Sean D. Tucker.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Side by side, Mr. Randy Drake and Mr. Jim Sonny Lovely. They come smoking out of the sky, pedal in the middle. We need about 160 miles an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, right about now. You got it. Up and over the top. Right about now, they yank the stick, kick rudder, hence the those airplanes on top. Making two big hearts in the sky. We dedicate this to you too, ladies. I want you to know if you don't do that right, that's hard on the fruit of the look kid. Maybe had 20 hours. This is a sacrifice we must never, ever forget. Frozen Pizza says, enjoy this. The Red Baron Stearman Squadron in diamond formation. Ladies and gentlemen, up and over the top. In a big diamond barrel roll. Beautiful. Now looking at about 130 miles an hour. And again, the big World War II wing over turnaround. What a contrast. Look at high in the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, around the top again, we need a little more airspeed. We're going to show you a 1930s diamond loop. The sky, turning back the clock to another time. The Red Baron Stearman Squadron. Get your cameras ready. You don't see this one very often. Straight up into the sky in diamond. Ladies and gentlemen, we call it a diamond cluster hammerhead turnaround. Get a picture now. That's a nice one to take home. Time in diamond for a photo pass. You can get one final picture, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf time at this show, the Red Baron Stearman Squadron. Get a picture of that, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name is Jerry Van Camp, and on behalf of my wife, lovely wife, Margaret, who travels with us. They've been in Desert Storm. They've been all over the world. We'll go back 50 years, not these kids, because the 82nd history is long and it is colorful. Come on, you're doing good. If they can holler like that and to jump out of an airplane in double time for over 2 miles, you can give the least you can do is holler and scream. Come on. It's airborne all the way. From Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the 82nd, the world-famous 82nd Airborne. Look at those combat campaign banners on the flags out there.
To compete in it
The principal speed contest was won by an American race pilot, Glenn Curtis, at the astounding speed of 47 miles an hour. After World War I, the Schneider Trophy Cup races for seaplanes were an international series of races preeminent in that era from the 1920s and early 1930s. Great racing teams from England, America, Italy.
Brilliantly at Desert Storm.
Known as the Tank Killer or the Warthog, the A-10 Fairchild Republic A-10 Thunderbolt II is loaded with one huge piece of armament called the General Electric M61A1 Vulcan cannon. It's a Gatling gun, 7 barrels, capable of firing about 1,500 rounds a minute. But this aircraft only carries about 1,100 rounds, so it can be quite deadly. But they're very, very careful with the amount, the length of the bursts of the cannon. The firing, they're very careful for two reasons. Number one, they don't want to waste the ammunition. It was off to the side, and they found when they fired that Gatling gun that it was causing the airplane to yaw and causing the gun to be not too accurate. So what they did, put the Gatling gun in the middle and put the nose gear on the side.
Over 130 of these aircraft were deployed over the Desert Storm. Only 2 aircraft were lost. Those tanks, tank kills in one day, 23 tanks by Captain Eric Solomonson and First Lieutenant John Marks of the 76th Tactical Fighter Squadron on 3 missions. 1 save and search and rescue, an F-14 pilot. Number of tanks destroyed conservatively over 1,000. The number of ground vehicles, 500, and the number of artillery pieces, over 1,200. These are all very conservative estimates. So the A-10 have really distinguished themselves.
Try to take over second position. John Inman on the back straightaway takes over second. Charlie Terry in the lead. John Inman in second. Dave Myers in third. Jim Frank in fourth. Dave Patterson in fifth. Brian Dempsey in sixth and last position. Brian's airplane is traditionally a very slow starter. It has a very high-pitched prop. He gets off slow, but in the latter stages of the races, it really gets rolling. Charlie Terry in the lead comes down the front straightaway in the blue and white airplane number 77 Blueberry. John Inman in second. Dave Myers in third. Jim Frank in fourth. Dave Patterson in fifth. And Brian Dempsey in sixth. Charlie Terry still leading. Dave Patterson has moved up into fourth. He's taken a high position. He's wingtip to wingtip with Jim Frank. And he's going to attempt to pass on the back straightaway. But Charlie Terry, by virtue of being out in the lead, is flying a good tight course. He is trying to run away with this race. If Charlie Terry wins this race, it's going to be the upset in the century in Formula V air racing. It's never happened in many, many years for Charlie. And he comes around onto the front straightaway in the lead. John Inman in second, falling back a little bit. Charlie Terry goes by. John Inman goes by in the yellow airplane. And Dave Patterson jumps into third position. Dave Myers is down in fourth. Brian Dempsey now moves up into fifth. Jim Frank down into sixth. And they go by, and we can tell that things are really beginning to speed up here. They're not playing around now. Charlie Terry is still in the lead. Down the back straightaway. John Inman in second. Now, Brian, look at Brian Dempsey. He is beginning to make his move. He's moved up from last to fifth. Now he's going to make a run for fourth. He goes by into fourth position. He's on the move. He's stalking the rest of the pack. But now, Charlie Terry turning onto the front straightaway. Charlie Terry in the lead. And Charlie goes by. Charlie was the winner of one of the preliminary heat races at last year's air show here at Dayton, Ohio. John Inman in second. Dave Patterson moved up into a solid third. Brian Dempsey in fourth. Dave Myers in fifth. And finally, Jim Frank in sixth. Brian Dempsey is trying to catch the leaders. He's creeping up slowly by lap, he picks up a little ground on each lap. Charlie Terry, still the leader, going down the back straightaway, coming around pylon number 4 over by the Emory building to your left. And we've got some action coming around pylons 4 and 5. Second, third, fourth airplanes are getting very tight there. Charlie Terry in the lead. He's got 4 laps to go. The race is halfway done at this point. John Inman in second. Dave Patterson is going to try for a pass. Not quite. Brian Dempsey is right there, though. You're going to see some real racing action here in a moment. Dave Patterson in the low position, looking for a way to get around John Inman. John's a very hard pilot to pass because he's such a smooth flyer. Charlie Terry in the lead. John Inman in second. Dave Patterson in third. Brian Dempsey in fourth. Now Brian, may be hung up in traffic there. He can't quite get a clear pass on these guys. And in the meantime, Charlie Terry is using that to his advantage. He's jumped into the lead near the start of this race, and he's leading for most of the race thus far. Charlie Terry comes onto the front straightaway in the lead. Second, third, fourth, John Inman trying to hold off Dave Patterson and Brian Dempsey. Dave Patterson in the low position, Brian in the high position are trying to get by one way or another. Charlie Terry still in the lead, John Inman still holding second. Dave Patterson in third, Brian Dempsey in fourth. Wingtip to wingtip, Dave Patterson, looks like Dave has moved into second. Brian is going to slingshot by around on the outside, it looks like. Charlie Terry still holding the lead. Charlie Terry around pylon 4 and 5 and 6. It's been a while, a long dry spell for Charlie Terry. He last won a major Formula V air race in 1985, 9 years ago. So he would like to win a championship race today. You betcha. Coming down the front straightaway, Charlie Terry. Now here's the battle. Brian Dempsey moves into second, and boy, all of a sudden, he's hit that button saying warp engines in the cockpit. He's on the move. He's gotten around. He's in second position. Dave Patterson right behind him in third. John Inman in fourth. And Brian Dempsey is now stalking the leader. Dave Myers goes by in fifth. Jim Frank now about a half a lap behind in sixth. Charlie Terry holding a lead. He's seeing that lead get narrower and narrower and narrower on each lap. The white flag is out. This is the first time in a long time that Charlie Terry has seen a white flag in a championship race. Can he hold Brian Dempsey off for one more lap? Charlie Terry takes the white flag. Brian Dempsey right behind him. It's going to be close. Charlie Terry in the lead going around. Brian Dempsey is going to try to make his move on the back straightaway. Brian is closing. It's going to be close right here. Let's see what happens. Brian is going for the lead. They are wingtip to wingtip. Brian has got it. Halfway on the last lap, Charlie Terry forced to accept second. David Patterson in third. John Inman down in fourth position. Coming around the last pylons for the last time, Charlie Terry is going to have to see his plans for victory fade into the dust. He'll have to be content with second, because here comes Brian Dempsey, and Brian Dempsey is the winner. Brian Dempsey takes the Powerade Formula V Championship race. Charlie Terry takes a second. Dave Patterson takes a third. A ferocious battle for the lead. Well, we expected a battle between Dave Patterson and Brian Dempsey.
I can show you the incredible speed. The flying capability of this airplane, as I say, is basically all engine. If you go take a look at it up close, he does a nice roll, he does another roll, 2 fixed gears, that big 450 up there. Of course, the airplanes normally would race around a pylon like you saw. The Bonzo aircraft is going to be eventually, it is going to be retired next week at Oshkosh. Steve has kept it all these years. He's going to donate it to the EAA Museum. Steve will fly the airplane one last time at the showcase for
the United States Air and Trade Show in the inverted pass. Delmar Benjamin in the GeeBee, right to left.
You can see how tiny that little cockpit is in there. He has to climb in through a door on the side and they climb up in it. I went and looked at it real close this morning, and I'll tell you what, there's not much room in that cockpit.
You're a tall guy. You think you can get in?
Yeah, the Avenger is climbing the altitude for his sailplane as Delmar shows you the night ballistic flight. Notice there's the number 7, the actual numbers on it. Now, Steve Wolf went out to the Granville family out there in Maryland, and giving you the full flight profile of this aircraft. He has an static display over there, and he has a number of medium souvenirs and a book as he pulls it up to the vertical line, and I believe he'll execute a 1/2 Cuban 8. Down in that 45-degree line, he rolls it out one time, gives it another roll. He used to fly with the Northern Knights, a 2-plane pits team. He has been flying air shows for about 12 years or so. Flight over 328 miles and a flight over 6.5 hours.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the Formula V racers. Give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, and a big wave. Let them know you appreciate them.
That's the first 3 winners. That's the first 3 places.
Brian Dempsey being the overall winner.
Now, Bob Ettinger has flown over 6,000 hours in 100 different types of aircraft, from sailplanes to the F-16. A retired Air Force colonel, Bob spent 9 years at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and 10 years at Edwards Air Force Base.
Right now, we're going to see it run its engine up, its Pratt & Whitney turboprop engine on this Helio Stallion, as it carries the G.I. Joe jump team skyward for their demonstration today. And the TBF Avenger is also set up.
All right, taking off is Charles Osborne in the P-47, known as Big Ass Bird 2. Brad Hood in the North American P-51 Hurry Home Honey. Bill Anderson in the Curtis P-40 Warhawk. John Olmanson in the F-8F Bearcat. And the F-6F Hellcat is Tom Austin. These aircraft are all from the those last 2 are from the Kalamazoo Air Zoo. And then the Corsair. Dave Burnap in the F-4U Corsair.
Let's see, 15,600 of those Thunderbolts have been built and initially cost $85,000. It could fly as fast as 433 miles an hour.
That's Fifi, the B-29, as Charles Osborne's coming in with the P-47, followed by Brad Hood at the P-51. Bill Anderson in the P-40 Warhawk. Now, there were 3 versions of the P-40, the Warhawk, Seahawk, and the Tomahawk.
The P-51 with Brad Hood.
Walt Thompson, Austin, Texas, and co-pilot is Dylan Bumgardner, who's only one of 2 known. Oh, and Ed Higgins is the loadmaster. Dylan flew 35 combat missions in the B-17 with the 306 Bomb Group, the 8th Air Force, and they're
inbound from the right, Charles Osborne in the Thunderbolt, the P-47. Inbound now from the right, the Hurry Home Honey, Brad Hood from Louisville, Kentucky, and the P-51 Mustang with a V12 engine. High and to the right.
Military Air Command, the Connie, take it off. There's the Warhawk, the Flying Tiger colors. Bill Anderson from Geneseo, New York. Flying the F-8F Bearcat by Grumman, followed by another Kalamazoo aircraft, the F-6 USF Hellcat being flown by Tom Austin.
From Dayton, Ohio.
It was also the FT series. Some were built by Goodyear.
The Navy designations were interesting. They always in the Navy designations designated by a letter at the end of whether it was an F and the model number and who built it then. On the roll, the Lancaster bomber, the British Lancaster bomber from Canadian Warplane Heritage.
Followed by Diamond Little from the Confederate Air Force, the B-24.
The Avro Lancaster bomber.
Son, John Agather is now flying here. Vic Agather is the guy that got this airplane going. Of course, this was the type of aircraft that was used on the first atomic bomb, the Enola Gay, flown by Colonel Paul Tibbets. Incidentally, his grandson, whose name is Tibbets also, is an
Smithsonian institution, and the B-29, which dropped the second atomic bomb on Nagasaki just about a week later, is on display to touch. I'm not supposed to touch it, but you can walk out right next to it at the Air Force Museum. The B-17 next.
Bomb bay doors are open, restored to its... And this, of course, is the PBY. Doesn't fly very fast. You notice he's got his pontoons now. They actually go up into the wing. And he's firing his machine guns too. They actually go up into the wing for cruising. Now, here comes Glenn Lamont from Detroit, Michigan in the Guardian of Freedom, the B-25.
This B-25 Mitchell could fly as fast as 270.
You got it. Now, coming out of deck is Bob Schneider from Hawkins, Texas in the TBM, the torpedo bomber. This was the same type of aircraft that President George Bush flew. And normally at air shows, President Bush's tail gunner is Leo Nato from... Leo was bumped for a friend of the president's, and they made their bombing run. Here comes the C-121, the Connies, under the Military Air Transport System, it was called at that time. And so this young lieutenant and the radio operator went along, and he's normally at the air shows here, but he couldn't make it this weekend.
The Constellation was the military version of the C-121 Constellation, was the military version of the commercial transport. And during World War II, the Army Air Force purchased 22 early model Constellations, which were designed C-69s. And then they ordered between 1948 and...
The B-24, and of course, the PBY. Schneider high overhead with the CBL. I told you not to go to sleep, folks. How about the wall of fire? You like that? And from 1939 to 1945 is Charles Osborne. They're going home, but we'll see them down in Louisville on Labor Day weekend. Brad Hood in the P-51. Bill Anderson from Geneseo, New York. They're headed for home. Glenn Lamont from Detroit's coming in. To the sky. Keep your eyes to the sky. We still don't see the fourth jump around. Oh, look, look, Bill. Free falling straight ahead. Let's see. There's canopy number 4. And that, ladies and gentlemen, code name Scarlet, the G.I. Joe skydiving team. What a jump. Team leader is Snake Eyes. His name and birthplace are classified top secret. Next team number with over 5,000 parachute jumps
Hails from New York City, it's Rafael J. Melendez. He's Zap. And team number 3 is Scarlet, Shanna O'Hare from Atlanta, Georgia, with over 3,000 parachute jumps. And team member number 4 from St. Louis, Missouri, also with over 3,000 parachute jumps. Scarlet, watch as she touches down. 10 feet, 5 feet, and stopping it. Stand-up landing, ladies and gentlemen. The G.I. Joe parachute team. How about a big round of applause for them?
That's absolutely outstanding, Rob. I'll tell you what. Great airplane, great jumpers. G.I. Joe, I had a chance to work with them out.
Confederate Air Force headed out west and took a look at the hulls, the hulks, the remainders of all these B-29s, and they were able to cannibalize among the, I guess, about 15 B-29s sitting out there in the desert, got enough parts to make one fly, flew it to Harlingen, Texas, at that time the home of the Confederate Air Force, restored it, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the only remaining B-29 flying in the world.
Vic Agatha from San Antonio, and look at here, right now, Eddie Green, a grip. He hails from Ann Arbor, Michigan. He has over 3,350 car-to-plane transfers, has 24 boat-to-plane transfers, that's a world record, and 15 snowmobile-to-plane transfers. He works for Ford Motor Companies out there in that Wonder Man position. We don't dare say Wonder Woman, I don't think.
Not on your life.
What he's doing out there, he's laying on the Javelin strut, which is about a 4.5 foot piece of hardwood, highly polished, that is, of course, about the size of a broom handle. And what it does, it holds the cross wires from the top wings to the bottom wings together. It keeps them in place, and he's laying out there as Diamond Lil comes in for a landing. We'll get on the top of that airplane, and Jimmy will go through with some of those gyrations, the same as he did before in the solo act. There's the hammerhead stall, the wild walk. One time at an air show, I knew him. He was working for the late Bill Sweet air shows, National out of Columbus, Ohio, as the Lank now comes in. And they're going to go to altitude for a few of their maneuvers from high up, as the Lancaster from the Canadian Warplane Harrier is working its way in. Now look very carefully as he comes around. You'll notice that Eddie now is starting to work his way back towards the, that's exactly why Jimmy's doing it, so he can get a good camera shot on it. I know everybody's got their zoom, and full of Kodak, one of the
things as well. Ladies and gentlemen, as we see Jimmy Franklin coming up, I want to let you know that coming down the show line, the Pyro team from today's air show in the 2 trucks, under the direction of John Mall, we got Brandon Mall, Brian Mall, Blair Mall, Bernie Yost, Mike Schwab, Gordon Webb, Kevin Barrett Street, and Gary Greider, Marilyn Vogelpole, Tom Vogelpole, Steve and Linda and Crystal Moppin, Dennis.
There's 4 turns, and he stops right on the dime, bringing Eddie back down. Now they'll go back up. They'll get himself another flippity-flop up over the top once again. And straight down. You can see Eddie up there. The real showman it is. His arms stretched out. They'll get speeds up to 180 miles an hour. Pulling it straight to that vertical line. Once again, you can see how his arms are out. That's showmanship for you. Eddie's been doing it for many, many years. He has flown with all the greats on top of the wing. And they do that tail slide. Holy mackerel, did he get a whip stall on that one. Wow. You talk about a whip stall, he got a whip one on that one. That didn't crank his neck around a little bit. Now Jimmy climbs up again for a little bit more altitude. Pushes it over the top. Dives down one more time. Getting ready to, I should say. Getting just a little bit more altitude for the next maneuver. Each maneuver requires a certain amount of altitude and airspeed. Jimmy the pro that is, a Hollywood stuntman, air show performer extraordinaire. One of the finest in the business. I've known him for a good many years. Another quick flip over the top and a flick roll on the way down. The split S maneuver in there, comes back in state center, arms still outstretched. He pulls it up to the vertical line once again. And Eddie is waving to the ground, the inside Humpty Bump. And the diving snap roll on the way down. And another snap, and he stops it right on the dive. goes in stage center. I just wonder if there's any truth to the fact that J.R. Wiedekind, our air show director, is going to be riding the wing pretty soon out. You going to get up there, J.R.? J.R., of course, coming up shortly will be the Thunderbirds as the action continues here this great second day of the 1994 20th anniversary Dayton International Air Show and Trade Show. All right. Rolls it upside down, then the halfway mark, then the three-quarter mark, and right side up for the 4-point roll. Now, you got to remember something. You got to remember that this, of course, you got to remember that Eddie creates a lot of drag out there. It shifts the center of gravity. This time, watch as he rolls it upside down like Eddie's holding the airplane up with his feet. The air show salute.
Eddie's actually counting the blades of grass out there and checking for any leftover fire from the pyro.
You bet. He's also waving to the crowd and we expect everybody to wave back. Now, watch carefully as they go in the end zone and set themselves up for their next series of maneuvers. Eddie now is going to start taking that safety belt off of his waist.
He's taking it off?
Yeah. He's going to utilize that wind pressure. All right, look very carefully now. Eddie Green, utilizing the wind pressure, is leaning against that rack, leaning ahead. Don't lean too far, Eddie. You'll clip your fingernails off that big prop. Look at that, balancing himself out. Then he grabbed that rack right again.
Oh, boy.
He is just balancing himself on that.
That really is spectacular.
Now, naked flag from floating out from that back of that rack. There he is. Let's wave at him as he goes by. Eddie the Grip Green. As he's coming by, Jimmy's got it slowly down, nice and easy. You can see that curb feeler sticking up from the top of that rack where he picked the ribbon up a little bit earlier.
And he can see you. Don't quit waving, folks, all the way down the line. As long as he's waving, he can see you.
You bet he can. Now, you know, they have such a high respect for each other. They can't even wait to get it. He'll be leading, hanging onto that rack. But look what he's doing. He's out there. We can see it. He's shaking hands with Jimmy Franklin. How about that? He's saying, "Thank boss. I love it. It's great." Shaking hands with his pilot, Jimmy Franklin, Eddie the Grip Green. Now, he's going to get back out there into those flying wires and lay in there again. And Jimmy's going to make some turns out there so he can get some good
in position. And in just a few moments, they'll run up their engines and begin their takeoff roll. When they do, the sound of the four-ship formation as it accelerates down the runway from your right to left will be the sound of more than 100,000 pounds of jet thrust. 4 engines putting out more power than the combined horsepower of 1,000 automobiles. As the planes lift off and begin their climb, watch for our slot pilot, Major Jim Ivanko. He'll move quickly from the right wing into position to form the famous Thunderbird Diamond. The opposing solo will be next. As Captain Rogers clears the runway, you will see the excellent slow-speed rolling capability of the F-16. Buck will raise the landing gear and execute an immediate 360-degree aileron roll. Then, the lead solo. Captain McCaffrey will break ground, pull up towards the vertical, and perform a split S, reversing his direction while still over the runway. Please prepare to roll.
Thunderbirds, check. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ladies and gentlemen, your 1994 Thunderbirds welcome you to the Gem City and the U.S. Air and Trade Show. We're pleased to be back demonstrating American technology and professionalism at the birthplace of U.S. aviation and hope you enjoyed today's demonstration. Thunderbirds, let's run them up. Thunderbirds, release brakes, ready now. Runners now.
360-degree aileron roll. Reverses direction, all within the length of the runway, in a maneuver called the Split S. Pilots Pete and Buck with the breathtaking crossover break. Of the F-16. Now here comes Pete in the high angle pass. as the Thunderbirds form up for the line break loop. As Thunderbird 6 pulls away into his own loop, the remaining... Thunderbirds 5 and 6 are now breaking away through the Delta formation. In just a moment, they'll reverse direction in a high-speed dive, cross at show center, then pull up into a series of continuous aileron rolls.